Good morning. Good morning. Java Delight will uplift you. Stay tuned. The show is about to begin. Grab your coffee. Stay tuned. This show is about to begin.
Hey,
Good
back.
morning.
Good morning.
Where you gone?
I ran because I got no idea where my phone is, so if it starts ringing, I won't be able to turn it off real quick because I can't find it.
Hopefully nobody's looking for you.
Yeah, hopefully. We'll see.
First, we want to start. Good morning, guys. Good morning, all the viewers. Hi, Brett. Thanks for being on the show. Hi, Brian. Hi, Mama Gotti. And then we just want to, before we start the show, send out love, healing, and just all good vibes to Brandon and his family. We love you. Get well soon. We're here for you. We miss you. We hope you feel better. Hi, Hollywood.
Yeah, it sounds like they're going through a little bit of a rough time here. It could be Alpha, Delta, or Omicron. Who knows?
Yeah, well, they got a new variant. Well, they didn't get a new variant in South Africa, so just get your facts straight. Because everybody's like, oh, there's a new variant in South Africa. We found it because of our AIDS, our ability to do AIDS test and the DNA stranding for AIDS, because that's a big thing in South Africa. So we've got some of the best scientists working on it. So they found it. We didn't create it. So no need to be scared of us. We are not out to kill you guys. We have been cut off from the whole world. Nobody wants to play with the naughty kids anymore.
It's so weird. I got to go back and take a look at one of the videos that I did. Now almost a year ago.
Yes.
Where I told everybody this is going to continue to happen. The vaccine is not going to stop it. It's just going to continue because that's what viruses do. They mutate.
They do.
And this one mutates quite a bit. So there is no way.
And this is a fact.
Vaccine.
The vaccine, the COVID is like making just babies everywhere it goes. It's just crap on crap on crap on crap. So we'll see. We saw a video that our president said that he will not force us to take the vaccine, but we're not allowed to play with the kids that do take it. So the naughty kids to the one side and the people that take the vaccine to the other side. So you will be cut off from society, but you don't have to take it if you don't want to. So.
Well, yeah, that's an extremely bad approach to take too. It's like creating some sort of prejudice, and it's undue.
And we're already dealing with racism and rape and murder and AIDS in South Africa. We do not need to deal with this as well. I actually agree with Mama Gotti. I don't know why. This just feels like it resonates. She says she's pretty sure the vaccine makes variants.
It does.
It does. So I think with all the COVID that's going on and everything that's happening, we just need to stay calm and respect each other's opinions in their own lives, and then just hope that everybody as well and gets through the next wave that apparently is going to hit everybody and is going to hit South Africa in December, they say. So
yeah, I think go back to the basics, which is what I've tried to promote since the very beginning, and that is do things that are good for your immune system. Get outside, get sun, get vitamin D,
eat healthy,
vitamin C, eat healthy. Exactly. Those things that seem to have fallen off a doctor's list of things to do to help people stay healthy. And
the other sad thing that people have to go through this.
stress is really a big part of depleting your immune system. And we've been under tremendous stress for the past 2 years as they've dealt with or talked about this virus. And as a result, many people are very stressed out. And it was very, it's scary from that perspective because
it's affecting everybody now. The thing is, it affects everybody. It doesn't just affect one person. It affects absolutely everybody.
And you know what this virus does, and I see where Jeannie is talking about, you know, these long haul symptoms that she's had. It's an autoimmune issue. And that's what needs to be understood. Once it gets into your body, it becomes an autoimmune disease, and it creates inflammation. It creates situations where your body is attacking itself, because there's a lot of these floating, you know, the spikes that they talk about, or ACE2 receptors. They like floating around in your bloodstream, and then your body gets hypersensitized to it, and it starts to attack it, and that's what causes a lot of this clotting, and that happens throughout the body, your heart, your lungs, your brain, and that becomes a challenge. So they need to treat it as an autoimmune disease at that point, and that's steroids and other things. But each body does take care of it differently, and I think that, you know, the one thing that has also made life a little bit more challenging is that usually when viruses go around, like the cold, which coronavirus is also one of the few strains of the cold, the flu that goes around, your body usually gets a little bit at a time, because you're out with people that have it and it's floating in the air. But if your body gets a little at a time, it's able to deal with it and
build up the other immune system
and build up your antibodies. Exactly. Now, when we block everything off and people don't go out, and then when they do go out, they tend to run into situations where they might be around somebody longer that has it, and then they get more of they get it all at once as opposed to a little at a time, and it becomes more of a challenge. Anyhow, really looking forward.
I also just
go ahead.
No, sorry. I just want to say that everybody that has been affected by the COVID and everything, we're just sending love, healing, happiness.
Yeah.
We hope you guys get well soon. It's not nice when these things happen to anybody. So just stay safe and do you. Just do you.
Absolutely. So how was your weekend?
My weekend was amazing. I went to Death Fest. I've got ear infection, so now the ear infection is worse because of the Death Fest, but it was so worth it. I got a shirt. Death Fest is this is a Volvadinia shirt, one of the bands that played. It's like a death metal festival.
Oh,
so yes, and it was insane. So the weather was a bit shitty. It was raining the whole time. So I had this insane outfit planned, and then when I woke up, I was like, no, we're going for comfort and heat. We are not going for looking pretty or whatever. So we put on jeans and a band t-shirt, and we went to the festival, and it was amazing. Shout out to the boys that was part of the festival. You guys rocked. It was one of the most insane experiences that I had. It was really, really insane.
Was there a lot of people there?
They could only sell 300 tickets because of COVID. So when they started selling the tickets, I think they only had 150 tickets on sale, and then they put us on level 1, which meant that our crowds could be a little bit bigger. So the maximum people, we were 300 people there. But such an exclusive show with the names that played was so worth it. It was insane. It was really, really nice.
Yeah, it reminds me, like, in New Year's 2000, I went to Disney World. Wow, is that thunder?
That's thunder. The thunder and the rain is rolling in. So if I cut out, I do apologize in advance, but it's coming. We could see it there over the horizon, all the dark clouds just like moving so fast. So this is still baby thunder. Hold on.
Oh, that's baby thunder, huh? It's kind of like a baby elephant. It may be smaller than the big one, but it still carries a big punch.
It does. How was your weekend? How's your whole project going?
Well, it's definitely going. It's not necessarily going as in the direction that we would like it to be right now. We're still looking for investors to be able to close this deal for the bar that we have an offer in on. It's really an amazing place and will be an amazing place from many different perspectives. But one is to be a launching point to be able to grow and do some new things, bigger projects in the South Dakota area. And I need to get there. So I have made my plans to pack up everything that in my house here, put it in storage, except for the stuff I'm going to fit in my truck. And I'm getting on the road the 10th of December to be up in South Dakota on the 11th and be there for who knows how long. But I just made a reservation at a hotel there for a month. Luckily, they got great monthly rate. It's like $975 for a month, which is phenomenal.
Expensive.
Well, it's actually phenomenal. You know, it's less than, it's about $30 a day, which is extremely cheap here in the U.S. I mean, it's almost never find that except in a crack hotel, but this is not. And in fact, from the hotel, I can look across the street right at the bar that we're buying. So I'm going to be there, and from that point on, hopefully be able to really coordinate, with some of the local people there, and maybe be able to find investors if we haven't found them before then. So I'm moving. I'm out of here. I'm tired of the mandates. I'm tired of the masks. I'm tired of the government here, which I'm just waiting for them to try to tighten things down again. And South Dakota is not the same way. South Dakota is open. 99% of the people or more don't wear masks. And I think that's part of the reason why right now their economy went up almost 9% during this time frame when many of the states have gone down. And the people there are doing fine. The virus has been there. In fact, my realtor and her family had it, and I had been with them not long, probably about the time that they were infected. And I don't know, I didn't get it. So I look forward to being out there. I just look forward. It's a lot less stressful in that environment. And I think that's awesome for being able to take care of your health.
Mama,
So that's
Mama,
my weekend.
Awesome. Mama Glody wants to know where you are. And then Jessica saw your face and just wanted to pop in and say hi.
Hey,
We need to dye your beard because we have 401 subscribers on YouTube.
401? I thought it was supposed to be 425.
No. That's to color Uncle Bob's beard. We're gonna have to tie him down and make his beard. That's okay, for forcefully dyeing Uncle Bob's beard.
Maybe be able to have it pink by tomorrow.
Awesome. But you have to make zebra stripes. Pink and purple.
Pink and purple, huh?
Pink and purple, but a hot pink, hey? Nothing less than a hot pink.
Well, we'll see what I can do. Yes, Mama Gotti, I am here in Vegas, and like Brian saying, yeah, I'm a backup showgirl here in Vegas. I stay in the back room. I never come out.
You're grounded. You need to stay in the corner.
Yeah. They're trying to make money, not chase people out.
So do you want to say hi to the viewers? We can go down. We've got Kevin.
Sure.
Hey, Kev.
I got to see where we're at. Hey, Mama
Do you
Gabby, how you doing?
And then we've got Mr. Panda. What up, Panda?
And
then
Big
Mr.
Brian.
Brian.
Brian's here somewhere in Vegas area with his.
Are you guys going for coffee?
Doing work.
Are you guys gonna hang out?
I don't think Brian's got that kind of time here. It sounds like he's got a bunch of pickups to
Sounds
do,
like
and
he's
then
busy.
probably hit the road.
Always on the road. And then we've got Hollywood. Whoop, whoop. Hi, Hollywood. Thanks for joining us. And then we have Jeannie. Hey,
Hi,
Jeannie.
Hey, Jeannie, I just sent you the email with a link to schedule the review of the Wealth Dynamics profile. So,
Jeannie Beanie.
Looking forward to talking to you one-on-one.
And then we've got Mr. Brian with the Y.
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
And we've got Jessica saying hi to Brett.
Jessica!
Happy Monday!
I've been looking at all the pictures Jess has been putting out on Facebook, and Jess has been doing some amazing things in terms of her health. She's lost weight. She's been doing, I think, 5Ks running.
Wow,
that's absolutely
that's
amazing, Jess. Keep up the good work.
Sending you love. Well done. I don't know why I do that when the weather comes. I'm sorry, but I always go like, just don't eat. Rachel. Is Rachel also here? Hi, Rachel. If we miss Rachel, we don't want to miss anyone.
Right, yep. Hi, Rachel.
What are your plans? You're saying you're looking for an investor for your pub.
Yes.
Oh, and Mandy's here. Hi, Mandy.
Hey, Mandy. How you doing?
Happy Monday, guys. How's your all's mental health after the Thanksgiving? How are you guys feeling? How was Thanksgiving? Hanging out with the fam?
Yeah, everybody, Thanksgiving's actually the beginning of the normal flu season. And one of the reasons, I've been through a lot of stuff with Tony Robbins and he's got one whole day of his Unleashing the Power Within, which is dedicated to health. And one of the things that he's really brought up is that, the flu season also, especially like in North America, but because Christmas is the same around the world, and so is Hanukkah and some of these other religious big festivals where people get together and eat a lot of different things, that actually the flu may be tied to the fact that we eat so much sugars and things like that and create this acidity in our body during this time of the season, this time of the year, that it allows for the flu to really flourish, where in other times of the year we're not eating as much of this junk food or sugary type things or also during these seasons it's also sometimes very stressful. It can be very happy time, but it can be very stressful time at the same. So that's something to really watch out for and to really bump up your vitamin C and things like that during this time of the year, because we are eating a lot of things that we may not normally eat throughout the year, and we're eating in big quantities, and we're probably imbibing a little bit. Not to say that maybe sometimes more than a little bit we're drinking. So be careful. I mean, take care of yourself during this time of the season, and take care of yourself mentally too. Tune into the show.
I just wanted to ask you, because I see that Mandy says she's okay and Mama Gotti says they're only okay. What tips do you have for the people to like kind of balance out after going through Thanksgiving and dealing with all that mental turmoil? Can I say turmoil? Because sometimes having that mental issues, it's like turmoil. It's just like busy in your head. What kind of advice do you have for guys?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, finding your space, your happy place. I don't know how many people have really sat down and just kind of, I wouldn't call it meditated, but kind of focused on where you looking back at your time or even creating one, where would be like your most favorite place to be, your most relaxing or enjoyable place to be, and get that really in the forefront of your mind. Just really focus heavily on it so that you get this big giant smile on your face because you're remembering how it smelled and how it looked and who you were with, the noises that were around, and at the time that was just super joyful in your life, and lock that in and make that an anchor so that at any time of the day when it feels like stress is starting to take over, go to a space where you can kind of sit down and just focus on that for just a few minutes so you get that big smile on your face again, and that will take that stress and just allow it to go back into the ground. If you can, put your feet on the floor, or even better, put it out in the grass or in the water or something so it's connected to Mother Earth, and allow for those stressors to kind of just flow out through the bottom of your feet, flow out into Mother Earth and get rebalanced. And once you do that, you're changing your biochemistry as well, because your mind does control so much of your biochemistry. So if you can reduce the stressors in your mind and allow that negative energy to flow out, you're going to change your body's biochemistry. It's going to help your immune system, and it's going to help you from a mental perspective to really refocus on things that are happening. Recognize that many of the things that we are all stressed out about are really minor in the expanse of life. My mother used to, and still does, get like totally stressed out during these seasons. Like, anything from the napkins are on the wrong side of the plate, the forks are not the right forks, the china, we need to use nice china. And like for Thanksgiving, we took it over because my mom can't do that stuff without potentially hurting herself. Say, Mom, this is so minor compared to what we're trying to achieve in Thanksgiving. We're trying to bring people together and have a happy time. And you're trying to, one of the things that really gets people stressed out is when they say, it's supposed to be this way. Supposed to be is your mind saying that this is the way I want it to be, not that it is supposed to be. And when you're trying to press or impress yourself or others because it's supposed to be, it's like it's supposed to be a fairy tale life. No, life is not a fairy tale. Life is reality. And with reality comes...
Sorry, can you hear me? Because the rain is extremely loud.
Yeah, it sounds awesome, actually.
It is. No, it's an amazing sound. I love it. I love it. I've also got a problem with the word suppose. Because if you're supposed to do it like that, or you think that it's supposed to go like that, it's because it's your perception of how things should go. And how many people put themselves in situations that is unnecessary and stressful because of, like you said, napkins. And napkins don't save world hunger. Napkins end world hunger. Napkins don't save people that are raped. Napkins don't save people that don't have food or houses to live in. So if you think about that, a napkin or burnt food or whatever is actually so insignificant. If you think of the world problems and the things that's out there that people are really struggling with.
Exactly. And yet we're spending so much of our energy and creating such a negative energy within ourselves as we're trying to impress on these things. My mother is always one of those that needs to keep up with the Joneses. And in fact, I talked to her about that this holiday. I'm like, Mom, part of the challenge that you have, and the reason that people start to run when you come around, is because you're into this supposed to, and you're trying to keep up with the Joneses. And she says, I'm not trying to keep up with the Joneses. I'm trying to be better than the Joneses. I'm like,
At least she's honest about it. At least she's honest about it.
It's hell on the family. There's a number of people really, literally in my mother's life that used to be like good friends of hers that now have gotten to know her more because they've been around her more, and then found out that she's got this control thing, and they've left. They don't come over for holidays anymore because when they come over, it's her telling them, oh, this is the way it's supposed to be. Oh, you need to do this. They offer to help to set the table, and then my mom's criticizing them about how they set the table. That's the kind of thing that oftentimes happens in these joyful seasons, these meetings of family and friends, when people want to try to impress somebody else, or to more often impress themselves, or impress a parent that may no longer even be alive.
But do you think that people suppress before the holidays, during the whole year, they all suppress all their feelings and all their emotions and everything because they deal with their own lives, they're not with their family, so they kind of can go into hermit mode and just think by themselves, and then as soon as you put the whole family together, everything escalates because everybody's bringing their shit from the year because it's been such a difficult year and they didn't really deal with it, that a stupid thing like a silly napkin can change a whole situation.
Well, I think that there's a lot of that can happen during these times of the year. Why? Because oftentimes you're not near those people that you're going to be with for Thanksgiving dinner, for Christmas, for those holidays. You haven't seen them for a year. Sometimes you haven't seen them for many years. And
especially
then
now with COVID.
Yeah, well, especially with COVID.
Yes.
And this has been an issue with COVID in general, is, people have been locked up, and first it was very difficult and stressful to be locked up and away from everybody. But then they got used to being by themselves. So when you go back out and are amongst people again, now it's stressful because I haven't been there, and there's all these noises and there's all these things that are happening that have been kind of isolated, or were not there when you were isolated. So those types of things are even more so happening in this year than they did last year, because more people are out and about and they're getting out of their house and out of their shell. And at the same time, they're being inundated with messages to tell you, don't do these things, right? I mean, that's what the governments are telling us now. So there's additional stressors on top of a normally stressful time of the year, when and we know that during this time of the year is also when there's a spike in suicides. And that is because of this type of a situation where people are just freaking out over the holidays. They're missing those that they can't be with. They're missing those that may have passed away. And those types of stressful situations continue to happen. So really hope that people take time for themselves in order to be able to focus on their mental health, so that during this time of the season, you can pass along happy energy to those that are around you. I think we may have lost, and we did. Looks like the thunderstorms have taken over Ilse's internet and created a highly stressful internet over there and shut it down. And you know what? That's something that happens in life too. Oftentimes when we get these storms in our brains, our minds, because so many things are happening, we're focusing on many of the sometimes negative things of life, and then it becomes this thunderstorm in our brain. And when those storms hit and the lightning is going on in our brains, we have challenges coping with all of that. And those are the times when I was just saying, remember where that happy place is. For me, when I'm thinking about my happy place, it's when I was a younger kid and we would go on vacation up into northern Wisconsin, into the trees. We went to a small lake up there where, you know, in the morning, if anybody can remember something like this, in the morning you look out at a small lake and the water is like glass. It's like a mirror, and you can see the reflections of the trees and the sky in the lake because it is absolutely calm. And then you may see some wildlife out there. This is what I remember when I'm looking at this happy place, and just seeing a deer along the side of the lake and getting back into the feeling that it was like, and the smells of the pine trees and the morning mist and dew on the grass. And that's kind of like my happy place, where I try to go when things get very hectic in life. And everybody has their own version, their own happy place. It may be, you know, something when you had your first baby and you were holding your baby in your arms and looking at your baby's face, and then you could smell the baby, and you could hear the gurgling sounds or the laughing sounds or whatever that is. Focus on that till it really brings this just super big smile on your face. And then here's something that you can do to really lock that in. Once you're in that space, find a place maybe on your leg or something that you can kind of gently pinch, and do that. Get to that real big smile on your face and pinch that, or touch your shoulder in a certain way, not in a way that people would normally touch you, because you don't want to trigger this all the time, but in a place that is kind of just, you know, something that you remember, and anchor that into that touch, that feel, that motion, so that when you do need to go back to this happy space, you can touch that again. And when you do, it will trigger that memory again and bring you right back to where you were. Now, this process can take you 15 minutes or 20 minutes or even 30 minutes at times, or it can happen very quickly. It all depends on how focused you are in being able to get to your happy place. But anchor it in through a touch, a special touch that you can do to yourself that allows you to get back there, and bring this happy place back into the forefront of your mind. You want to do it in a way that you can even be, you know, out in the public or in a business meeting, even where, you know, you're in a meeting and things are really getting hyped up and you're maybe not going in the direction that you would like to see it go, and you trigger this happy place, and it will come back to you, and it will allow you to kind of clear your mind so you can get back to focusing on what needs to be done, as opposed to being so tied up in the stress that's being created at the time. So that's something that we can all focus on. I'm going to try to take a look at some of the comments here. Let's see, I got to go back because there's been a lot of stuff here. So yeah, Thanksgiving and holidays got to be careful about this. Thanksgiving and other holidays should be about family and friends spending quality time together. Be careful about should. Again, that's your perception of what the holiday should be like. I'll tell you, for me, I really prefer to be honest, I prefer to be at a bar watching a football game than to be at a family event, because it is more fun for me to be at a bar. I spent a lot of time overseas when I was in the military, when I was consulting, and I enjoyed those holidays overseas where there was not family and friends. And I'd rather just do the family and friends thing as they come up throughout the year, rather than at a specific time of the year when it should happen. Now, others have grown up to where this is a happy time of the year. This is when they do get together. This is when they share happiness with each other. And that's phenomenal. That's fantastic. But that's not always the case for everybody. And you need to celebrate holidays in a way that best serve you and not necessarily best serve the way that you were brought up to believe it should be, because that's not oftentimes not you. It is somebody else's idea of what should be that has been ingrained in you. It's been indoctrinated into you. So think about those. If you go through holidays and it is a stressful situation, it may be because what should be is not actually what you want. It is what somebody else wanted of you during that time that you were growing up, or things along those lines. So be careful about that. But if it is the time that family gets together and you enjoy it and it's a joyous time, definitely, take that opportunity during this time of the year to do that. Let's see. Anything you can do for your can do to work 9 your life situation. Not exactly sure if I'm following that, Mama Gotti, but explain that one to me a little bit more. I'm not sure what the 9 then is. But let's see. Putting so much time and work to improve my life. Yes. But, sometimes we put a lot of stress on ourselves when we're trying to improve our lives, and then we create more stress. So in those times when we're focusing and sometimes trying so hard to improve our situation, improve our life, we get so tied into that we actually lose the focus that we need to have in order to improve our lives, because we're trying to get our life to be like somebody else is saying is the good life. And sometimes we are really focusing hard to try to get out of a funk that we've been in because of situations that happen around us. This is where I get back to, an event is just an event. Whether it be a happy event, a sad event, a traumatic event, the event itself is an event. It has no meaning to it. The meaning is what we actually choose to put on it, or allow our brain to unconsciously choose the meaning to put on it, as opposed to us consciously putting a meaning on it. And if we take control of our life to where we see an event, and if it's a traumatic event or we experience a traumatic event, that time of the trauma is, you don't have enough time to think about it and start to say, oh, well, this is what I can learn from this event, because you're going through it at the time. But when you do have time to kind of start to reflect on it, and before you get too deep into whatever meaning was put into your mind by your mind at that time, sit back and start to look for the lessons that you learned, the things that can be helpful to you or to others, that maybe they won't have to experience those events, or they can experience them in a different way, and then choose to put that meaning on them, as opposed to just allowing it to fester in your mind without being conscious about how you are actually perceiving and putting meaning on those events that happen in life. So again, when you're focusing so much of your time, or feeling like, oh, I've just got to change, or listening to whoever your mentor is, whoever you're following to help change your life, sometimes it doesn't go the way that they say, exactly the way they say it. Each one of us is going to experience things differently. Each one of us is going to process things differently. So don't get so much pressure on yourself that it's got to change today, it's got to change quickly. Sometimes it takes a little bit, and every little bit moves you in a direction. So the key is to know where you want to go, where you want to be, and then take that baby step there and take that next baby step there and take that next baby step there, and recognize that sometimes just like when babies are learning to walk, they take the first step and they're smiling, they're happy, and they take the second step and they're smiling and happy, and the third step they fall down. Okay, but they then learn that, oh, I can get back up, and then I can take another step, and then I fall down. Or sometimes they're wobbly and they know where they want to go, but because they're not really good at controlling their body that well yet, they kind of lean, and the next thing you know, they're holding on to the couch or something, but it's not really exactly in the direction they were going, but they keep that in mind, and eventually they get to where they're going. A lot of times it's the mom or the dad going, come on. Well, that's what you need to have in front of you. You need to have that carrot out there that you see, or that end state that you want to have. And in that, when you're in that state and have that focus, it doesn't matter if you fall down or you kind of go off to the side for a while. And sometimes these side steps, especially as adults, they may not be I just leaned on the couch because I was going this way and I had to stabilize myself. Sometimes we follow a path for a while. It could be days, weeks, months, even years, where we're kind of following a path that isn't really in the direction that we wanted to go. But that doesn't mean that we can't be making these small baby steps, these small wins, like Jay Bird is saying, which lead to the big wins. It's not, you don't win a football game or a baseball game on a single play. It is all of the plays and all of the players that come together, and oftentimes what we planned on happening didn't happen because the other team was there. They got in the way. Well, that happens in life too. So when we do make these steps forward and then we don't achieve what we feel we were supposed to, again, that word supposed to, or two words, I guess I should say, get in the way, and then we start getting frustrated because it didn't happen the way we envisioned it. I mean, I'm experiencing that right now. Like I was saying earlier, I'm looking for investors for this project, and some seem to come along, then they go away. It's not moving in the direction it's moving in the direction I want it to, but it's not achieving what I want it to right now. So I've got to keep from getting frustrated or stressed out by the fact that it hasn't happened yet. That doesn't mean it's not going to happen. And that is kind of a way to phrase things that can help you to remain motivated and just say, what I want hasn't happened yet. And keep that yet in there, because that's saying, okay, I recognize that I have this goal, and it seems sometimes that goal is getting farther and farther away from me because it hasn't happened yet. But sometimes yet can go from looking like it's years away to being the next moment when somebody comes into your life or something happens in the way that you're thinking, that all of a sudden maybe that goal can be achieved through a different path that's a shortcut to the one that you were following. So keep that in mind, because it is those small wins that get us to our goals. And we have to just continue to recognize that sometimes those small wins, we get set back a step or two as well. And we have to catch ourselves at that time. We have to lean on the couch, stabilize ourselves again in order to be able to kind of redirect and start taking those baby steps along the way again. So hopefully that kind of helps in terms of some of the things that we may be experiencing at this time of the year. I did have a good Thanksgiving, even though it is somewhat challenging when I'm there with my mom and she's trying to do her thing and control it. and everybody around it is getting frustrated. It's a matter of trying to put it into perspective. And for me, oftentimes you have to look at, things from the other person's perspective. Okay, I know what she's trying to achieve. When she says it's supposed to be this way, it's because for her, the way she envisions it, it is the right way to do things. But for others, it may not be. It's kind of like a perfectionist. A perfectionist oftentimes is focused on, this is the way it's got to be. This is the way I see it. I know if we do it this way, it's going to get done bigger, better, faster. But others around us may not pick that up. And this kind of goes to the whole wealth dynamics thing that I've talked about before, where somebody is very much more an intuitive or introvert thinker. In their brain, they think of it, where somebody else is more about talking to people. So the perspective on how to get to what is the right thing, how we get there may be different. And because of the path we take being different, we oftentimes see it as you're doing it wrong. No, somebody else is following a different path, but maybe we're both trying to get to the same place, right? So that's not saying they're wrong. It's just saying they're going to get there in a different way than we would normally look at getting there. And that's when we say it's supposed to be, we're telling them follow my path, and they're like, wait a second, no, that's stressful for me to follow your path. Let me follow my path, and let's meet where we're trying to go. The same thing happens in business. The same thing happens in life. So be careful of trying to, always get stressed out because somebody is looking at doing things in a different way than we would normally do it, because it's just a different path to the same destination. There's many roads. What was it? The roads to Inverary. I know I'm aging myself a lot here. It's way before my time. I think that's like Bing Crosby and Bob Hope, if you even remember those people. But there's many roads that can get you to New York, Chicago, to London, depending on where you are in the world. There's many roads that get you to that city. Which road you take is up to you. It's up to how many roadblocks might be in the way. It may be because of the traffic. You had to take a detour. Who knows? But as long as you know where you are and where you want to go, you can find the path to get there. And you can find the path that works best in your life. Not necessarily somebody else's life. Not necessarily, what Tony Robbins, who is a mentor of mine, but I don't believe or follow everything that he says, because the roads that he takes and in his natural flow is different than mine. So I do, and I've had to learn that over the course of time, that as I was trying to be more like Tony, I was putting stress on myself because that's not me naturally. I need to be me. You need to be you. Your children need to be themselves. And we need to figure out how to communicate in ways so that we can follow our own paths, but get to the same destination. And like Brian is saying, all the roads in California are bumpy, and Michigan too. Guess what? In life, roads are bumpy. So we may want to travel smoothly and in a direct line to wherever we're going, but guess what? That ain't going to happen. I can guarantee you one thing. The simplest, easiest long-term path that you think can get you there is going to have bumps. It's going to have detours. It's going to have challenges. And that's what actually makes us stronger. When we run into challenges, we overcome obstacles in that path of life that we're following. one of the big challenges that we oftentimes have is that we don't have a goal in front of us, a real solid goal. And we're kind of just navigating life, like following a roadmap, but not really knowing what city we're going to go to. We're following the roads, and we may even be going real fast, like 100 miles an hour down a road, but we're not sure yet where we're trying to go. So during those times, we get very frustrated because we don't have the destination in front of us, and yet we're frustrated with life because we're not getting there. Well, you got to know where there is in order to get there, and oftentimes we haven't set those in life. In business or at work, you have some tasks, some goals that you have to achieve in order to do your job, in order to do the job that is necessary for everybody else to come together and achieve whatever the company's doing. Those are some important things. So let's look at those opportunities, of life, kind of in terms of the way we have to do our tasks at work. Set that goal, establish what it is. And there he is, Fernando.
Hello.
Fernando would come onto the show, and boom, there's Fernando.
Good morning, guys. How are you guys doing today?
Yeah, we're doing well. I think that poor Brandon is kind of not feeling well and couldn't make the show. And then there's Ilse, who was on the show, but the weather decided that it was a different path that she needed to follow today. And she ended up, at least for a while here, being, off doing whatever she can do when the power's out or the internet's out. So how are you today, Fernando?
Doing well. Here's a little bit cold, but doing well. Yeah, it's cold, actually.
Wow. I figured it'd be a little bit warmer down there than here. And I'm just up in Vegas right now.
I don't know what's the temperature in there. I here is. Let me check. Well, you're gonna laugh because it doesn't feel like it's that cold, but it's 56.
Well, 56 without a sweatshirt on is chilly.
Yeah, it's chilly. I mean, it's not that cold. It's gonna get colder like in a few weeks because it does get cold. But it feels colder. I don't know because I live in the mountains, so it feels colder.
Well, yeah, it does get colder up in the elevation.
Hello, Mandy. So you're not in South Dakota anymore. You're in Vegas actually now.
I'm in Vegas for about the next 2 weeks, and then I'm going to be packing up and pretty much moving to South Dakota. Whether I have the deal done or not, I'm still going to be moving out there.
Okay.
So, that'll actually be nicer for me because then I'll be in Mountain Time Zone, which is 1 hour different, which means I can get a little extra sleep in the morning if I got to do the show. Every hour counts.
So, how do you like it? Do you like it better than Vegas?
By far, when the lifestyle out in South Dakota is, I don't know, to me it feels more real. It's not a scene. It's kind of getting back to nature a little bit because it's not as hustling and bustling as a big city or Las Vegas or pretty much anywhere else that I've lived. So I do enjoy it.
Nice. Hello, Rachel.
Fernando, do you have the bio for our guest? Because I don't have it in front of me.
Yes, I do have it. Just give me a quick second. I'll pull it here.
All right, yeah, because Ilse was going to do that, and hopefully our guest will be showing up in the back room or green room here in a little bit. But want to make sure that we were prepared and have the bio of, and it sounds like he's an expert in crypto, so should be an interesting conversation. And Jaybird may have some insight that might be really good in this conversation as well. Because I know as far as people that understand crypto, I think Jaybird is phenomenal.
Yes, I think that's very interesting because the last time we were going to have a crypto guy, I think he wasn't available. He
Okay.
couldn't show up, so I think it's gonna be interesting because crypto is a very interesting topic. A lot of people are talking about cryptocurrency, and oh, this coin is or this token is doing so well, and now we have this new one, so everybody is like wondering about cryptocurrency. Well, actually, a lot of people don't know, and we have our guest there in the background, so I'm gonna go ahead and start reading the bio so we
Okay.
can introduce him to the show. And our guest today is Robert Van Patten, and he is the CMO of a large decentralized cryptocurrency exchange called EZDEX. He has years of experience explaining cryptocurrency at Decentralized Finance to people who have never heard of either. So I'm very excited to talk to Robert because I have some questions regarding cryptocurrency. And before we introduce him to the show, I'm going to play a video from our sponsor and we'll be right back. Let me see if I can find it first. Here it is.
Hi, my name is Brandon, and over the past year, the Delight Cafe team and I traveled across the U.S. researching this rapidly growing industry of CBD products. What we have found throughout the industry were products that were inconsistent in dosage and used ingredients that weren't even lab tested. Products with chalky textures, bitter aftertaste, and worst of all, confusion among the CBD consumers. That's why we created Delight Cafe. A 15 milligram, lab tested, all natural, water soluble hemp CBD powder pack. It's odorless, colorless, and tasteless. Add it to your favorite drink of choice, wherever, whenever, on the go. Quickly find your calm, your balance, and your delight when you need it most.
Hello, Robert. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Good morning, Robert. Can you hear us? Hello, Robert.
Hello. I don't know if you can hear us.
Doesn't
Good.
sound like.
Thanks for having me. Yes.
Oh, I
Oh,
think.
all right.
Oh, you're hearing us all right? Okay, good.
So, Robert, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself? I know we read the bio. It sounds like you understand crypto very well, but crypto's
I
getting to
can't
be a
hear you in
big
the studio
word.
window, but I have the episode playing on YouTube in the background.
Oh wow!
Oh, so you are delayed. Hold on, let me try to. Can you hear us? Because I think you're delayed.
Yeah, because it could be a number of seconds.
Yeah, I think the YouTube video is delayed for a few
I can
seconds.
hear you through the streaming YouTube. but
Oh,
not
okay,
in the
not through StreamYard.
live window.
Oh, maybe, Robert, try to close out and then come back in and see if that helps so that you can get the live video or
No,
screen.
nothing stream.
Yes. Try to log off and log back in because
Okay, I'll try to
the
leave
the
the studio
YouTube
and then go
video.
back.
Yeah, because the YouTube video is delayed for a few seconds.
Yeah, actually, I've had it where it could be more than a few seconds, and that would be like trying to talk between here and Mars. in terms of the delays of the signal. So let's see if when he logs back in here, if he can hear us directly.
Okay, let's see. Hello, can you hear us now? Or not yet? I don't think so. I don't think he can hear us.
Yeah, this is weird.
Let's see.
Yes, one moment.
Mm-hmm.
Working through some technical difficulties. You know, we had Ilse out there who had to, I didn't log off. She was logged off because of the thunderstorm. So hopefully Robert can get the live audio.
Okay, now it's working. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Because I refreshed
Awesome.
it. Okay.
All right, awesome.
Okay, now we can talk. All right. Hey, Robert, if you could give us a little bit more background on yourself, and you know, crypto is kind of a big world. It's definitely still an unknown world for me. So how do you play in this, and how did you get into it, and kind of where are you at right now in terms of what you're doing in crypto?
Yeah, sure. So it's kind of a long story, but I'll try to keep it as brief as possible. I know we have, maybe roughly an hour or less than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so kind of condensed version is, so right now I'm in Taiwan, actually. So it's around midnight, but that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I took a quick nap around 10 and came on, so I'm okay. But yeah, so I'm in Taiwan, but I'm actually from the States. I'm from the US. And while I was in the US, I actually studied at the University of Texas, and I was studying Chinese and Chinese literature, things like that. And I was looking to go into translation. I actually did translation for a long time with companies like Alibaba or Xiaomi, which is an electronics manufacturer, as well as Rotary International, some of these larger international groups, just doing document translation, things like that, mostly for a couple of years. And it was actually while I was doing translation that I started to, by myself, kind of get into crypto, just research for myself, what is this? Actually, the first time I encountered crypto at all was in 2013. I had some friends who were building computers just to mine Bitcoin. And I thought they were kind of crazy because, at the time, basically no one had ever even heard of Bitcoin. I had heard of Bitcoin from some of my friends who were more, I guess, tech oriented, kind of interested in the actual tech side of it.
Right.
But anyway, at that time, they started to just, explain to me, what is Bitcoin? What are some of the problems it solves, like the technical aspects of it, things like that. But I didn't really touch it, because, at the time, if you had heard of Bitcoin, you probably heard it in relation to maybe more nefarious things like crime or things like that, right?
Right.
Which is reasonable, but at this point I would compare that to when cell phones and the internet first came out. A lot of the uses for those was for more nefarious things, but then over time you had very mainstream use cases come out of it for other things, mostly good things. So I think that's what you're seeing right now with crypto. But anyway, so that's a very brief introduction to how I got into crypto itself, and then now I'm actually the CMO for a decentralized cryptocurrency exchange out of Taiwan. How I got there is a little, I guess, more interesting. I started just researching by myself here, and then kind of co-founded a cryptocurrency related startup, more focused around just educating is normal people who haven't ever heard of crypto, what it is, and then also how to invest in a safer way. So we were basically doing indexing. Basically doing a cryptocurrency index fund, right, where you take the market capitalization of a specific cryptocurrency within the market, kind of index it out, do like top 10, top 20, similar to the S&P 500, right, and just kind of index it to make it safer for most people to maybe dollar cost average, just put a little bit away every month into it, and just kind of try to provide a safer way to get into the space. So I was actually kind of taken out of that startup into this company I'm helping now, also in Taiwan, and a decentralized exchange. I can kind of get into that, but you guys might have other questions first before that.
Yes, I do. I do have a question. Like, how would you explain cryptocurrency to somebody that has never heard about cryptocurrency before?
Yeah, sure. So we can just start, for example, with Bitcoin itself. So lots of people have heard of Bitcoin. It's kind of been buzzing because we've had like all-time high break after all-time high break. Some people in the cultural conscience think of Bitcoin as kind of like a tulip mania. But that's kind of weird because basically tulips only had one cycle, but Bitcoin has been around since 2008 and has had several cycles where you have, let's say, like an all-time high, and then you have like a year, 2 years, and then a break, and then a break. Typically, that does not happen with overly speculative assets. I guess you could say, like, typically they'll die out pretty quick, like 1 cycle, 2 cycles max, and then they're dead. And the amount of times I've seen articles, Bitcoin is dead since it came out, and then it's not, and then now it's looking like it's poised to take out its last all-time high. It's kind of here to stay. But what is Bitcoin? So I would start with gold. So a lot of us, we're familiar with gold. We're very comfortable thinking of gold as kind of like this monetary, asset. It stores value, things like that. And there are many reasons for that historically. But if we just start with gold and kind of a thought experiment, like Fernando, if you had, let's say, $1 million in gold, like physical gold, and you needed to send it to somebody else, how would you do it?
Through mail, I guess, or I will have to travel and get him that. I guess.
We're just gonna think about like how much like physical gold is actually like $1 million. Like it's
that will be a lot. It's kind of like heavy.
Yeah, and so like your mind kind of like goes through like the list of things that you'd have to do that. You have to get like security, you have to get insurance, you have to get people to verify that the gold is real. I'm sure there's videos on YouTube that kind of go through this actual whole process. For example, in Switzerland, like they have like this whole process, and then they have to like thin out the gold through machines to make sure that they're not like hiding like titanium or lead on the inside,
Right.
instead to kind of like fool, so there's all of this whole process to kind of, figure out and make sure that the gold is real. And then at the end of the day, like, was there any like profitability in this? Like, was there any worth in doing this, even if you had to? It's pretty bad. Whereas, Bitcoin has a lot of the, innate properties of gold, disregarding the physical aspects for a moment. It has a limited supply, so there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin, for example. So it's not beholden to things like inflation, right? It's programmatic into Bitcoin that there's the supply cap, right? And then it's also, it acts like a store of value. And we can get very complicated, but a simple explanation is, the amount of energy and computing power that's required to mine the Bitcoin is represented in the price of Bitcoin, right? And so it's actually the store of the value of the energy and the computational power that was used to create it. Mm-hmm. And so Bitcoin itself, why does it have value? It's kind of like actually Henry Ford. He's kind of known for, I guess, creating like the car and like the manufacturing line and some other things. Like he's associated heavily with those things. But actually, he also wrote about, in the early 20th century, he was writing also about, we would solve a lot of problems between countries today if there was one currency where like no one could dispute it, right? So like not Iran, not China, not Russia, not US, no one can dispute it and no one can destroy it. He was proposing things like a basket of assets, like a basket of hard assets, which maybe that would work, that might exist sometime in the future too. But Bitcoin seems to fit that role very, very well because, Iran, Russia, China, and also, those in the US, that you can't dispute it. When you have a Bitcoin, it's a Bitcoin. Everyone says it's a Bitcoin. You can't destroy it. So Bitcoin itself is kind of like a digital gold. It's kind of like a currency that no one can dispute. It's actually very hard in a digital sense. And then the other currencies beyond Bitcoin, why do they have value? You can ask several questions. The first that you'd want to ask is the use case. So Ethereum, for example, is the second largest cryptocurrency. So if you've heard of Bitcoin, you've probably heard of Ethereum. So what makes Ethereum so special that it's still the second largest by market capitalization, and the third isn't even really that close? Ethereum is basically like a virtual computer. It's basically a virtual machine. and the price that you pay to use this virtual machine is Ether. So for example, when you go on exchange and you buy Ethereum, what you're buying is the token to use the virtual computer, because on Ethereum you can run what are called smart contracts. And a smart contract is basically code that will execute automatically. So for example, Brett, if you have a house and you want to sell it to me, we don't have to go through all these third-party brokers or do anything else. You could write a smart contract that basically says, like, if Robert deposits this much Ethereum in this account, then the name on the title will automatically shift to his name. Like you don't have to do anything else. And because the chain is immutable, in the future someone can't just hack it and go back and change it. It's basically impossible. The economic cost is way too high to even try. So I would ask, what's the use case for a lot of these other currencies outside of Bitcoin? But that's basically.
Brian has an interesting question. He says, what happens to Bitcoin if the lights go out, satellites and electronics are wiped out?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. This is actually a question I think about a lot. It basically comes down to, if there's the internet that exists anywhere else in the world that still has the blockchain and is still running the network, it can still survive, but it will probably just take a long time for the network to be able to propagate again around the world. So as long as it exists still somewhere, then it's okay. It's just you're not going to have access to it, which is unfortunately, it's unfortunate. But in that case, maybe if it looks like we're heading in that direction, probably buy gold and silver instead. But while it still looks like we have the global infrastructure, then there are other alternatives. Yeah.
So it will be like when the banks lose their system and you cannot withdraw cash from the ATM kind of like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thankfully that kind of ties into what we're doing at the main difference between a centralized exchange and a decentralized exchange. So we're decentralized exchange, easy DEX. So the word actually DEX is a shortening for decentralized exchange. So we're basically trying to be a very easy to use decentralized exchange. And the difference between centralized exchange and decentralized exchange is you can get locked out of a centralized exchange. So if you go onto, for example, Coinbase or Binance or any of these centralized exchanges to buy cryptocurrency or to use them almost like a crypto bank account, because that's what I feel like probably most people use them as right now, you can get locked out of the account. Like, it's totally under the control of the company itself, whether or not you can use it or even withdraw your funds. But with a decentralized exchange, it's different. You can actually have your own hardware or software crypto wallet, and then use that wallet to directly interact with our exchange on top of Ethereum. And so it's completely permissionless, and all of your assets are safe in your own hands, in your own wallet.
So It sounds like your exchange is built on top of Ethereum, self-executing contracts.
That's correct.
Okay. So it's really a blockchain, just decentralized exchange, like you're saying, that doesn't require going through any central point in order to be able to execute.
That's correct. Yes.
And how will you teach somebody, for example, that is new, that is just barely starting to crypto, where can we start, or what will be the first currency that you will tell us to get? Because there's a lot of saying that, get Shiba, get Dogecoin, get this and that. A lot of people are confused, or a lot of people say what is Shiba? That's a dog, and where can I buy Shiba? Is that good? Is not? Or Doge is better? And
one of the things I think even before that is, we can get all these different coins, and it sounds like you're in exchange as well as, like you're saying, Coinbase and things like that. But first we have to set up an account somewhere, right?
Yes.
And then once we get the account set up, then we can start to invest in or purchase coins, whatever those coins might be, as long as they're in whatever that place is that where we have an account actually handles those, because not everybody handles all of them, right?
Yes. Yeah. So okay. So there are a couple of questions there. I'll try to answer. So if someone's just starting off, we actually on our YouTube, channel, you can just search EasyDex. I do a lot of educational content. For people just starting off, probably the best method is just indexing and like slowly dollar cost averaging over time. But I would stay away from things like meme coins, like Shiba or Doge and things like that.
Okay.
There are a couple of main reasons. The first one is they don't really have like a good use case. Like if you couldn't argue yourself into thinking it has a very good legitimate use case, I would probably stay away from it. That's not to say it won't go up. I'm just saying that over time it will probably not be good for maybe even like your mental health, to invest in just meme coins if they don't have like a legitimate use case. Yeah. Whereas, if you do invest in a crypto, like some that has a legitimate use case, and let's say it goes down, you won't feel as bad. I can just tell you, you just feel like, okay, well, I mean, it's still being used, even though the market value has gone down, it's not as bad. Whereas if you're trying to hold a meme coin through a loss, that is painful. I would not do that. As far as actually like kind of increasing your own knowledge, educating yourself about this space, I have a link which I can give to you guys. I can email to you guys. It's basically a crypto skill tree, and it's a crypto skill tree that is for people like going into working in crypto itself, like the industry. But it's honestly for anyone, and it just goes through like what is Bitcoin, how to use it, what is Ethereum, how to use it, and things like that on down. And that's probably one of the best resources I know of for people to slowly kind of just educate themselves about the space.
Brian says, so should I salvage what I can from Shiba and bail out now?
If you already put, money in meme coins like Shiba and Daga, I would probably, like, if you're still interested in crypto, I'd probably just move it to something else at this point. Like, I'm not saying it's not going to go up. I'm just saying that I wouldn't want to hold just like meme coins. You should be more diverse. If you want to hold some, like if you want to hold like 20% of your original position in it just for fun, fine, go for it. That's kind of just for fun. But I would move to other things, like especially if you're just starting out. I would move it to platform tokens. So platform tokens would be things like Ethereum, Solana, and Avalanche, because those are blockchains that have a lot of different applications on top of them that you can start to familiarize yourself with how to use them. Right? So they have their own ecosystems of decentralized finance that you can kind of use.
Yeah, and I believe you within the platform you can convert a crypto to another crypto. So I think that so you recommend to like convert Dogecoin or Shiba to another currency like Ethereum.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, again, you could keep like 20% of your original position just as like a fun position, and then try to look into some of these large platform tokens like Ethereum or Solana or Avalanche. Those are top 20. Those are not small.
It sounds like, and I know there's a ton of coins that it sounds like out there now. There's more that continue to be created. A lot of them remind me of the old stock exchange, the penny stocks, where you had pump and dump type things. You create it, you create a hype around it. Whoever created it has X amount of almost all of it. And then they get people to invest in it. It pumps up the price. Then they dump it, and they may, move on to another exchange. And in the crypto world, there's no way to really track that, if I'm not mistaken. So you end up with kind of an environment where you can kind of do this pump and dump and never be tracked down as to who actually did the pump and dump. And then they made money off of those that, were speculative or didn't really understand what was going on, and then just took that money and ran with it and put it into Ethereum or Bitcoin or something, so that now they've got something that's going to have a long lasting value.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate. in a way that the technology has made it easier to just issue tokens and just kind of try to sell them and then get them to pump and then exit. Like it's unfortunate because the tech is too easy now. Like you could just copy paste coins, right? Though I would say, for example, like what we're doing, like we're not interested in just pumping price. What we're doing is trying to build an entire decentralized finance ecosystem on top of our own blockchain. So we're looking very long term, like 2, 3, 4, 5 years out, trying to build a decentralized finance, range of applications on top of our own platform.
And what do you think? Why is there a lot of different tokens or coins out there? Because like if you see, is like easy to create one or what? Because every time I look, like there's new ones that I'm like, what is that? Like the Polkadot and the BitTorrent, I think is one, and there's just so many, and then they're like, oh my gosh, this one is new, is very popular and is going up very fast. I'm like, why is there a lot?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that come out. You mentioned Polkadot. That's actually a pretty large project. If any project comes into the top 50 or even top 100, it's worth researching at least.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, it becomes way more niche. Like the use cases become very, very niche. But yeah, at least, I mean, if a coin enters the top 50 or so, it's at least worth like taking a look at. Like Polkadot, for example, I think they're doing something like parachains where like they have different chains that you can build for games or other applications like that very easily. But yeah.
So you will recommend like before investing in a currency, try to do a little bit of research to see if it's pretty much not a meme coin, if that's legit and that it's actually they have like a backup or something.
Solid foundation of some sort.
Yeah, they're kind of 3 different categories. So like you could think of like one category as like platform tokens. So that would be like Ethereum or Solana or Avalanche. It's kind of like a base layer. And then you have the second category on top of it, which is ecosystem coins. So like you have different projects and applications inside that platform, like just basically third-party developers that are creating their own applications on top of that layer. So that could be different decentralized finance products or applications, things like that. And then you also have like meme coins, like off in the corner. Like it's just like they're just fun. That's it. Like So yeah, I would first. So I'll send you guys a link, like Crypto Skill Tree. Like it will do kind of like a deep dive into each of these ecosystems, like each of these platforms, the most common ones, the largest ones. And then I believe it also goes into some of the main applications inside of those, which also have their own token. And so it will give you a base of reference for if you want to, research a coin in the future. It's basically going through the process of like, is this platform healthy? Is it good? And then is this application inside this platform good?
Okay.
Yeah, I got a question. I know that, Bitcoin is only supposed to have 21 million ever created, right? And then out of each Bitcoin, it can be broken down into like 100 million units each one.
Yeah.
But, first of all, do we know how many Bitcoins have actually been mined to date? And secondly,
almost all of them. It's something like 19 million or 20 million, something like that. I don't keep track now because that's almost all of them now.
And then a question that I always had is, okay, you had these massive server farms in China, and now I think that they've moved over to one of the stands, like
Kazakhstan, yeah, that's right.
And they're being mined at these mass levels, which to me indicates that there's big money behind it.
Yes.
Which could be governments like China, like Russia, and they could have massive numbers of accounts, but actually have a single controlling entity. How do we know that isn't happened and cannot be manipulated or controlled by like that type of an enterprise?
Yeah, it's a great question. Great question. So basically, you can look and see who the miners are in the network, like who participates in the Bitcoin network. It's actually interesting what China did because they basically kicked of the people out, or most of the people, not everyone, that was mining Bitcoin. If they wanted more control, they should have let them stay. So it's very strange. Also, because it's so tied to electricity and things like that, it had to be sanctioned at some point, at the government level, probably at the local level. And so there might actually be more like politics at play, like federal versus local, that is national versus local in China. So, but I would say the safety of the Bitcoin network, it's interesting. You would need more than 50% of the network in order to do anything. And the doing anything basically just comes down to being able to spend the same Bitcoin 2 times, which is called a double spend. That's all you can do. So for example, if you had a wallet that had, 100 Bitcoin, or let's say like 1 million Bitcoin, which is kind of insane, but just for, purpose of argument, all they would be able to do is to say, I'm going to send 1 million Bitcoin from this wallet to another wallet. And then I'm going to, at the same time, because I control more than 50% of the network, I'm also going to say that I spent this 1 million Bitcoin to another wallet, and it forks the Bitcoin, network. That's all you would be able to do. And then people, because everyone's watching all the time, they would basically be like, okay, they forked it, so this fork is right, this fork is wrong. And then all the other, nodes in the network would just kind of, move to the correct fork. That's all. That's literally all that would happen if you were even to try to pool the resources to do that. You get one double spend that everyone immediately sees and then forks and says, this is wrong.
Interesting. So now that you mentioned, Brett mentioned crypto mining, would you mind explaining what is crypto mining? Because, I kind of know what it is, and I know a friend is doing that, but, there might be a lot of people that don't know what crypto mining is and how it works.
Yeah, so crypto mining is related to proof of work chains. So Bitcoin is a proof of work chain. What that means is you have all of these computers in the network. They're kind of competing together to solve a complicated cryptographic math problem. Okay, and then basically the first computer to solve the problem, have the solution, and then broadcast the solution to the other nodes, and then other nodes say and validate, yes, this is correct. That computer that solved the equation gets the Bitcoin reward for that block. That's mining. And so it's called proof of work because it's proof that you were using the electricity and computing power resources that you had in order to do it. This is actually how you get around the problem of virtual currencies. So actually, I can kind of get a little bit deeper in your question, if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so there's actually a big difference between, for example, virtual currencies and Bitcoin and other proof of work and proof of stake coins. In the past, if you had a video game and you had a currency inside the video game, at any point the head programmer can basically like push a button and say like, okay, I have 1 million coins. You can't do that with Bitcoin. And the reason you can't do that is because you basically have to prove that you have utilized a certain amount of electricity and computing power, right? Which are scarce assets, in order to get the Bitcoin. You don't have to do that for previous virtual currencies, and so this actually puts constraints around the currency itself. And so you actually have like now a separation between like virtual currencies from games that came before, or even like internet money that came before. There were various different types that came out before Bitcoin, all have the same problem. Who's the arbiter of who has how much? It's very difficult because you can have a programmer push a button and then this person has $1 million, this person has 5 now. With Bitcoin, you solve that by using proof of work.
Okay, so it's pretty much like you have your computer there with a program and you just leave it running in the background, and it's like mining using the electricity, kind of like that.
Yeah, the computing power and the electricity together.
Okay.
And it proves that you used the scarce asset in order to get it.
So with the majority of Bitcoin already mined, at some point in time, all of it will be mined. And even the mining, just like in gold and silver, when the gold or silver in that mine run out, they basically shut down, and the silver and gold still exist, but that mine goes away. So it seems like there's going to be a point in time when Bitcoin is no longer going to be mined, or because there's none left to find, essentially. And
Mhm.
then all it is it's an immediate, it functions as a currency. It functions as an intermediary to a bartering system, if you want to look at that. And that 21 million coins are valued at whatever the acceptance rate is of whatever users there are or owners of the coins, and that are willing to trade those coins for services or products, right?
Yes. Yeah. So actually, the Bitcoin solution is very elegant. Every 4 years, the reward in Bitcoin for mining is halved. So it just gets halved, and basically there's nothing. And then when it's nothing, basically what the miners are receiving as a reward are the transaction fees that are paid. So like basically, it's anticipating that over time, whether by a lot or whether just by some, the price of Bitcoin per Bitcoin will rise because of deflation in the system. And it will rise to a point where the transaction fee paid for sending Bitcoin will be enough to cover what was previously the mining reward. So basically, proof of work becomes processing transactions and receiving the transaction fee, but not creating more Bitcoin.
So there's a transaction fee that is being collected in some point of
Correct.
the Bitcoin ecosystem, that is then going to be distributed to miners based on those that are continuing to have the servers or whatever that can do these computations. Is that kind of what you're saying?
That's correct. Yeah, it won't go away. It basically transitions to a almost entirely transaction fee based system.
And how are those transaction fees paid if there's no more Bitcoin to be created? So is it that there's a central store of Bitcoin that will be used to pay that, or how is
No,
that?
I mean, it's basically like, if I have Bitcoin, I want to send it to someone else. I say, like this part of the transaction, this much Bitcoin I'm putting in just to pay the miners to get the transaction into this block so that it's verified and that the money goes through.
Okay. Is that same type of a cap in these other coins? Or is Bitcoin unique in that it has this cap where other coins maybe mine forever and continue to grow, kind of like we can print money at the Fed?
Yeah, that's a good question. So Ethereum, I think, does not have a cap to the supply. However, they are moving to a deflationary model, like that will basically burn Ethereum over time. And so for them, it shouldn't be a problem going forward. And that's also why it's still the second largest, because the basic consensus is that even though it doesn't have a cap, that it will move to a more and more deflationary system where you're burning more and more Ethereum. And so they think that the supply problem in the future will become less and less of a problem, even to being a non-issue. There are many other, I would say probably most major currencies, like in the top 50, top 100, have limited supplies, like hard caps. I believe so, but not all of them. For example, Ethereum is a classic example of one that does not have a supply limit.
Okay. And can you mine other currencies, or it's only you can only mine Bitcoin?
You can currently still mine Ethereum. So I think the profitability of doing mining for both, unless you have very, very large facilities, is pretty low at this point, I think.
I think when you mine, because I've heard some people say that or think that when you mine you get a lot of of cryptocurrency back in exchange, but it's actually you get it not a lot, right? I think it's very little what you get.
Right now it's pretty small. I mean, it should help you cover the electricity and things like that, but I think right now it's not like it was even 4 years ago.
Because I think I tried it once, and it was like a few months ago, and after one night of doing that, I think I got 0.0 something. It was just so little. I was like, oh wow. then I was like, oh, let's forget about the mining.
Yeah, it's at this point, if you don't have like a industrial mining rig, it's not gonna happen. Like just sorry.
Okay, so everybody that tells you, "Oh, you gotta go do the mining thing, and you're gonna get rich," that will be a lie, right?
They're just better uses for your time in crypto. Mm-hmm.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, because I don't know a lot about the mining, but I did try it once, and I was curious about that.
Yeah, so mining is not really something that the general public does. The general public just knows Bitcoin mainly from the ability to change some sort of a fiat currency into Bitcoin and then hold Bitcoin for whatever reason they're using it, or any other coin for that matter. With a lot of these coins being highly, if not entirely speculative, where Bitcoin seems to now have established itself as some sort of a reserve currency. Now, the distributed nature of it, and coming from the U.S., we're so tied into the dollar and so forth, and being able to do our credit cards and everything else. The value of Bitcoin in our economic system is very limited. But in other countries, in smaller countries throughout the world, including, I think, Guatemala, Nicaragua, somewhere has now basically looked at using Bitcoin as a primary store of
El Salvador. Yep.
El Salvador. Okay,
that's right.
To actually open it up to what would be the general public to act as almost a national alternate currency.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you said in the U.S. maybe you don't have to think about it that much. I think about it all the time. That, for example, I think it was this year or last year that the U.S. government printed like 40% of all U.S. dollars like in existence in like 1 year. So one of the main things that having cryptocurrency exist at all is that it's because you can take out your phone and literally just like buy cryptocurrency like with fiat on your phone using an app like a centralized exchange rate. That is a direct check on the government's ability to recklessly print money. So that's the U.S. or anyone else, and so it's actually like I very much doubt crypto will replace fiat in the world. Like, I just don't see that happening. I see it where we'll basically continue to just have two systems. We'll have government fiat and then basically crypto acting as a check on governments recklessly, spending or having a reckless monetary policy. That's all.
Well, and I think of the three major currencies right now, the Chinese yuan, renminbi yuan, the euro, and the dollar have all done that.
Yeah.
They've all just printed like crazy for the past, I would say, past 10 years, but extremely significant amounts in the past 2.
Yes.
And that's why there's inflation, even though they say there isn't. And why I think we're seeing the more focus on cryptocurrencies as a store, or actually a way to try to avoid being hit by the inflation that's yet to come.
Yes. Yeah. So, if nothing else, in the public realm, like even if you didn't like cryptocurrencies themselves, or like didn't think their use cases were important, like the one very large use case that it provides a very large check against governments recklessly spending is still, very important. So.
Yeah. And that's where I was kind of going when I was talking about that question early on about, how do we know that, there isn't a million accounts that are all held by the Chinese government. And each one of them has X amount of money in it, but China still controls all those accounts and therefore has a significant influence over what can be done or who's actually going to be able use Bitcoin in the future?
I think the Chinese probably have a lot of Bitcoin itself, but they moved all the miners out, and so they basically removed their whole like stake in the network. So I wouldn't be concerned. Like I would be concerned from a price perspective. Maybe they're just going to dump all their Bitcoin because they ran out of US dollars. Like that's like a situation that might play out. Like they just need more US dollars, and so they dump all their Bitcoin. Maybe it's possible, but yeah.
Yeah, that was my concern about it. Now that it went over to kind of the Russian side, that's not necessarily saying that it's not Chinese controlled. It's just done in a different place where the government can do it under the radar. Those are the types of things that I'm concerned about. Not to say that you don't have the same kind of issues with fiat currencies, and we're seeing that with the way that these governments are recklessly printing and basically trying to, through their own, if you want to call it marketing, saying that there isn't the inflation that is being generated by pushing that much new currency into the economies.
Yeah, Russia is an interesting situation because actually they're always trying to get off of US dollar dependence, and Bitcoin kind of gives them a very good vehicle to do it. But it's actually also tied to like energy. For example, if you're very in favor of green energy solutions like solar or wind, or even more, I guess, creative ways, like they use like tidal forces to generate electricity.
Right.
Like it's actually hard to burn off or for the grid to always accept green energy. So for example, in the case of solar, like in some places, like the grid actually, like there's not enough demand during the day for all this electricity to be bought up by the market. And so they basically have to like just kind of give it away, or they have to pay for the grid to just take it from them, I believe. And so actually what Bitcoin does is, if you have Bitcoin mining stations at these power plants, the green power plants, you can basically use the excess electricity that would basically just be wasted just to mine Bitcoin. And because it's proof of work, all that value is still stored, and actually it will help green technologies around the world to expand faster.
Interesting. And I've heard that there's some places that you can actually pay with Bitcoin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I've heard like a lot of people say no, but you cannot spend it. You cannot touch it. But it's like I know that some places that you can actually pay with Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there are places now that accept Bitcoin. Mm-hmm.
Even here in Vegas, there's some Bitcoin ATMs, if you want to call it that, where you can purchase or redeem your Bitcoin and actually, get fiat.
Yeah, we've recently been getting Bitcoin ATMs in Taiwan too. Yeah, it's kind of been rolling out.
Nice. That's interesting. I never. But how do you withdraw the money? Do you have to like log in with your?
I am kind of hesitant to use a Bitcoin ATM, but I assume that it's basically like you're sending a transaction to a specific wallet.
Okay.
And then you maybe say, I'm sending this much Bitcoin, and then it's like, okay, this is you. And like it's pretty straightforward. I imagine that's how they do it.
Oh, that's interesting. And then the next day, I have been hacked.
I'm almost like, Taiwan's a very safe place, but like I'm almost kind of hesitant to like even like walk up to one and maybe be like, oh no, someone's gonna mug me and take all my my private keys to my Bitcoin wallet or something.
Trying to kind of differentiate maybe what you're doing in your company, mm-hmm. and somebody that doesn't really have money per se to invest, to buy a currency. So there's the potential that you could look at investing in some of these meme coins, maybe being able to play on the upside. You get into the pump side, if you want to call it that, before the dump, and then you exchange that coin for something that has got a more solid foundation is possibly a way, if you want to look at it, for trying to work your way up from zero to something more significant by playing very, very much in the speculative world.
Yes.
But as a possibility, you know, in today's world, it doesn't sound like mining is really something that the normal person is going to really be able to generate a whole lot of anything with. But it's a way that you could potentially work your way up. And I think that those are some of the things that may be happening in these other countries, like El Salvador and a lot of the African countries and so forth that are looking at or people are using these currencies. Your company sounds like one where investors come in with X amount of cash and can then buy through their fiat some currencies within your distributed exchange, and then be able to use the coins or store them or however they want. If you were to kind of talk more about exactly what your company does and how people can use it and how it's different from others, I think would be a good thing, as we're trying to, as we're getting close to the end of the show, to be able to offer that kind of information.
Yeah, I can kind of wrap up. So there's two things. One is, the cold start problem in crypto is real. Like, it's hard to just kind of start from almost nothing and try to, make something with it. That's actually fine, because with Web3, you may have heard of the concept of Web3, like Web 3.0. Okay. It's a massive revolution. And basically what Web 3.0 means is platforms and applications will reward you for using them. Like, even if you don't spend, let's say, a whole lot using them, like they will reward you through what are called airdrops. So you may have heard of airdrops. Like, basically they'll keep a catalog of the different wallets that interact with their application, and like take a snapshot of all the wallets that did so, and then at a certain date, usually reward people who were early users or early supporters, right? And that doesn't even require that much money. But if you didn't have that much money in the space, I would, in the beginning, stay away from Ethereum, just because it's very expensive to use right now. I would try to look more at two ecosystems. One is Solana, and then the other is Avalanche. However, there are people building what are called layer 2 solutions to Ethereum, and we're doing some things with that, which basically will make it very usable and cheap for people to use Ethereum. But yeah, so I would look at I would check out the crypto skill link tree that I'll try to send to you guys. Try to get into Solana or Avalanche, because it's cheap to use. You really don't need that much money, and the transaction fees are very, very low. And I would just kind of play around with some of the applications in there. Try to learn by yourself. As far as what we do, so I didn't talk that much about decentralized finance, but you could think of decentralized finance as, you have a lot of different kind of products and services within traditional finance. Okay, so you have borrowing and lending, you have insurance, all these different things. Imagine that you could transport a lot of these uses into the blockchain space, so that they're autonomous. And not only are they autonomous, for example, I can just go, if I need to borrow money, I can just go and borrow money on the blockchain. That already exists as a use case. Whereas if you go to the bank, good luck. I mean, it's a whole process, and it's not fun. But in crypto, in 2 minutes, I'm done. If I have $10,000, I need to borrow 5,000, I'm done. In a different currency. So I mean, it's very straightforward. And actually, there are even protocols now that if you put up collateral to take a loan, it will then lend out the collateral that you put, like a bank, and pay off the loan, so you don't have to pay it off over time.
Okay, I'm not following that 100%. When you say put up collateral, what type of collateral are you talking
It could
about?
be, for example, like a US dollar stable coin, or it could be Bitcoin, or it could be Ethereum. So you're putting up a certain crypto asset as collateral, and then it basically takes that collateral and lends it out to other people on the same platform, and uses, let's say, half or even 75% of the profits from lending it out in order to pay back your loan, so you don't have to pay it off. It's almost like free money, but it takes time. It's not like immediately. Obviously, it's not like free. It might take a year.
Right.
But yes.
Yeah, as opposed to a bank that collects interest and then they just put it in their pocket.
Yes. So imagine you could, like, I guess, own the bank. You don't really own it, but for example, if you own the platform tokens for these applications, you can actually receive the profits from these applications. This is why Web 3.0 is not going away, because unlike banks now, you could basically like go to these applications and be like, I like your application, I like what it's doing in the decentralized finance space. I'm going to buy your token, and I'm basically going to reap the rewards of, as if you were getting the rewards from a bank lending out money, or doing any of these other financial services like insurance, which is very profitable, right? And so it's basically rewarding people just for participating. So
I know you've been trying to send us a link or have a link. We've got the comments portion of StreamYard there. If you can put it in there, we could probably get it out, to the audience in this video. Otherwise, we'll try to, get it out afterwards.
Yeah, I'll have to find it. I have it.
Okay.
Like Evernote, I think. It's like somewhere.
Sure, we'll share it into our Discord once we get it, so that people can have it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely, because I think that there's a wealth of knowledge that we have to gain to feel more comfortable. I mean, there's those people out there that don't have a significant comfort level that they have to have before they're willing to move, and then there's others that want to have, like myself, I want to know more about it, and I'm trying to figure it out, and oftentimes get halfway through the figuring out stuff and then get diverted into another direction. Like I was talking about earlier today, you have a goal in mind, but I kind of start taking a sidetrack before I come back into it again. So being able to get a better understanding is, I think, what a lot of people are looking for. It's confusing. It's a totally different kind of thing than going out to the bank and getting your dollars or your pesos or whatever currency, euros that you're using. So that's something that is, I think, still a level of comfort area that people have to get before it becomes more readily used. Mm-hmm. Even though in a lot of communities that have very limited technology are really using Bitcoin as a way to offset the challenges of their fiat currencies that have tremendous inflation and so forth now.
Yes. Yeah. So I just sent the link in the private chat, I think, Fernando.
Yes. I already shared it on Facebook and Twitch. So thank you so much for. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say briefly about like EasyDex itself, like very brief. Like, so imagine that, for example, you could not exactly own the bank, but own all the profits, like a profit sharing in all of these decentralized finance applications, all in one place where you can use them and manage them all in one place. All the best decentralized finance applications, like in your own wallet, in your own phone. That's basically what we're doing. So if you'd like the kind of easy to use financial applications, and then also get a lot of the profit back to yourself, so that the bank isn't taking everything, or the insurance companies aren't taking everything, you're getting most of the profit from it. That's what we're doing. So I would check out our YouTube channel. So you just search EasyDex. You should find us very easily and subscribe. You can also find us on Twitter. We're very active on Twitter. We have a large following on Twitter. So I would just keep up with us, and I share a lot of educational content. So even if you're just trying to learn more about crypto, follow us, and I'll be sharing a lot of stuff to help you guys.
All right, thank you so much. Yeah, I like friendly apps. Those ones, because there are some that they will give you a super long tutorial because it's super complex, and click here and then go here and blah blah blah. So I like super friendly stuff. So I'll definitely check it out. And we are very grateful that you came here to share your knowledge about crypto, because it's a subject that is very interesting. And I think that as you know, as the time passes by, we're gonna be hearing more and more about cryptocurrency. So we are very grateful that you joined us today. And before we finish the show, we always like to give few positive words to our viewers, you know, to kind of like let them set up the tune for their morning so they can have a good day, stuff like that. I will let Brett go first so you can you can see how it is. Then I'll go later, and then you will be the last one. And
We'll try.
so yeah, let's Brett, go ahead.
All right. Well, you know, like I was talking about today, you know, there's the supposed to things, there's the things that we're very comfortable with. There's the stresses that we have in life. And one of the stresses that we're experiencing today, along with the whole COVID thing and everything else, is the economic stresses that are associated with this. And some people are doing very well and other people are having challenges. In either case, they're probably stressed out by it. Either what do I do with all my money that I don't know what to do with, or how do I get money that I don't have? But, you know, the one thing that we do know is that the governments around the world, the main currencies, are printing a crap load of money, and they're dumping it into the system, which is going to create inflation, and is creating inflation. We know that because it costs $10 to go to McDonald's now. It's very simple to know that there's inflation out there. Cryptocurrency may be a way to help to hedge against some of the inflation that's going on. So to take the kind of knowledge that Robert has imparted on us today, and to go to his website or to others and really start to get a better feel for how you might be able to get even a little bit to start with, and especially if there's ways like the web 3.0 or you know, stuff that Robert's talked about, and even Jaybird in our community has talked about in the past, is that there's ways to be able to make money through this technology that I don't yet understand, but it's something that we have to be aware of. So like I said, the path of life can be like this. If your goal is out here, it really doesn't matter which path you take as long as you're continuing to progress. Crypto may be one of those ways that you can progress to a way to establish yourself and have some sort of a better retirement, a better life. So look at those opportunities, because life is not just one direction. Thanks.
I would say today, just now that we talk about learning and we learn a lot about crypto today, find ways to learn more, seek knowledge, and knowledge is power. So I would encourage you to learn something new every day, even if it's just a small fact or whatever, a language, art, whatever you can learn today. Like, try to learn something new today. Challenge yourself to learn something new today, and share that knowledge with somebody else, because you know that's how we grow. I hope you will have a wonderful day, a wonderful morning, and send you all good vibes and love. Thank you for being here today.
All right, hey guys. I hope this talk together was helpful to you. I would just say that, you know, there's a lot of bad news out in the world, whether it's financial or whatever else. And I just want to say that, you know, there are people in the world who are building financial solutions and to a lot of our problems, whether it's inflation or anything else. And you just have to go and look and research for yourself. You know, I hope you guys have a awesome morning and also an awesome rest of your week. And you know, I hope you have fun kind of exploring. If you look into the crypto skill tree, you know, learning more about this ecosystem and kind of figuring it out for yourself. We have very exciting times ahead.
Thank you, Robert, for being here, and we wish you all a good morning. And thank you for tuning in. And we'll see you all tomorrow.
All right, thanks, Robert. Really appreciate it.
Yep. All right, thanks.